I was born and raised in Lexington, Kentucky, and my best friend, Greg Birchall, who you've had on before, his dad trained horses, so I started working with horses in the summer and on the weekends, and fell in love with them when I was 10 years old, 11 years old. When I was 12 years old, I wrote a paper in Jesse Clark Junior High in Lexington, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, I want to be a horse trainer like Charlie Whittingham. So I actually lived my dream, and now I switched over to be a jocks agent the last 3 years for Luis Saez.
What do you think about this program?
I love it. I like to catch up with people. It's so interesting to watch your program to see what people have done and who they are and what they're about, and it's great because there's so many different stories on the backstretch.
What's the first horse that got you going in this business that said, you know what, I'm here?
Yeah, well, I was actually 12 years old when Secretariat won the Triple Crown. I remember watching him win. And so, like I said, just going to the races at Keeneland, Latonia back then, Turfway now, with Greg Birchall and his family, I just fell in love with it. So it was fabulous. And I've been fortunate to work for the Maktoums for 25 years and travel around the world, spent 10 years in Dubai training, and back here at Green Tree's beautiful. So I'm very fortunate.
How did that come about?
In 1993, I went there. But in 1993 here, I had dinner with Helen Alexander from King Ranch, and I asked her about training. And at that time, I had Chris Antley's book. I was an agent. And she said, you want to get back into training? I said, yes. So she hooked me up with Sheikh Mohammed, and I went over to interview for the job. In November 1993, I flew over there and started working, and stayed for 25 years until I decided to retire from training and go back to being an agent.
You know, how is it working for the Godolphins and having that big compound, the Green Tree stables back there?
It's fabulous. It's I used to call it a slice of heaven back there. It's beautiful, and it's great to see that Charlie Appleby has horses back there now, and it's back open, because it was closed for a few years after I retired. It was hard for anybody to go back there with just a handful of horses, but it's a beautiful place.
Now, talk about Chris Antley.
He was a great jockey. He was very talented jockey, and we had great success up here 2 years, and then he went to California when I went to Dubai. But it was sad he's no longer with us, but he was an outstanding jockey.
Who's your hero in this game?
Well, I would have to say Wayne Lukas, because I worked for him for 7 years, and he's soon to be 88 years old, and all of us that work for him are kind of like a fraternity, and it's great to see Todd Fletcher, Mark Hennig, Dallas Stewart, Mike Maker, everybody doing so well, George Weaver. A lot of people work for Wayne, but he was great. He had a lot of influence on my life and helped me a lot through a lot of different things. So he was my hero. And then Sheikh Hamdan from Shadwell was a great man. He passed 2 years ago, and he was great. He was fabulous to be around, and I learned a lot from him.
Talk about the horsemanship, right, in the early days. A lot of people want to say the horsemanship is different back then versus today. You think that's true?
Yeah, just different things and different rules. I mean, back in the day when I was a teenager and we were clocking horses to claim, and we would look every day at the races and try and pick out horses to claim. Nowadays, if a horse pulls up not sound, and you can give them back or they take them back. That's like an insurance policy. Back in the day when we had to take them and keep them if they were, weren't perfect, then that was different. Now it's a lot different. So you see 10, 15 claims in for a horse because there's a safety net for them. But there's a lot of different things that are different now than back then. But a lot of great horsemen today as in years past, and it's great I learned from the bottom up, walking horses and grooming, and it was great, and it gets in your blood, and you don't want to leave.
You know, who was a guy that you met under the shadow, right, that did everything right with a horse?
That's a tough question. I would say that I worked for my father-in-law, John Hennig, for a year and a half, and he was a great horseman and taught me a lot about legs and icing. And his son, Mark Hennig's a trainer, and my wife was a great horse person that I'm married to for 40 years. But he was a great teacher and taught us a lot, and hosing, cold water bandages, icing, all the works, everything. And it helped us with legs and helped me later in life about legs.
Yeah. You still love this game today as you did as a kid?
Yes, I do. I love it. I mean, it's different now being a jock's agent, but you still get the adrenaline rush and trying to win and competitiveness. You know, you're trying to always do well.
Now, what's the best horse race you ever seen?
Well, we won the Dubai World Cup with Invasor, and that was the biggest to go back there and win that race for Sheikh Mohammed, who I loved and worked for. It didn't get any better than that. Even winning the Derby wouldn't have been better than that because of being in Dubai for 10 years. So that was the big horse for our stable and our team.
Wow, what is it like training and just being in Dubai for that long?
It was great. It was fabulous. They did everything first class, and we ran left-handed like they do in America, very similar to America, but dirt track. And we had one or two tracks we raced right-handed, but it was great. They had the best of everything.
You know, I never been to like a real Godolphin facility, but I see it on the internet and I watch it. It looked so much first class versus anything else I ever seen. And
Yes.
talk about that. And why is it really like that?
Yes, it is. I mean, the Maktoum family, luckily, they love it. Sheikh Mohammed's a great horseman and his family, so they did everything first class, whether it was building a hospital, bringing in the best feed, hay for the horses, straw, shavings, and then they built the barns were great, and the track was fabulous, tried to be safe, and brought in good vets and good people. So it's first class.
First class.
Yes.
Wow. Talk about Woody Stevens winning the 5 Belmonts.
Yeah, that'll never be broke. That record to win 5 in a row was crazy.
Yeah.
Yes, to be able to get 5 horses to run in it, 5 years in a row is crazy. But to win it is really crazy.
You think that's the greatest moment in horse racing?
Well, I would say it's a record that'll never be broke.
Talk about the black horsemen. You was around black grooms and
Yes.
black help back in the day?
Yes, so they were the black grooms in South Carolina, because Shadwell broke their horses there every year, and they had families, and they were great to keep them going every year, and they would learn from their uncle, father, and they were great horsemen, and we all loved being around them and learn from them, and they had in South Carolina all the way until Shadwell moved. But the families were there for years and years, and it was great.
If you could change one thing in horse racing, what would you change?
Well, it's getting changed some now, but I always felt like that we should have coast to coast the same rules, whether it's the starting gate rules, shoe rules, medication rules. It's crazy that everything is a little different each state. It doesn't make any sense to me. We should have the same as the NFL or NBA and be the same everywhere, because sometimes you ask to do this at the starting gate and they say, we don't do that here. And sometimes the testing for medication, you could use this in this state and not in that state. And it just should be the same for everybody. And it's probably getting that way now with this.
How important is the men and women that work every day on the backside?
Oh, it's very important, and you can't do it without them. And luckily back here at Green Tree, we had a beautiful new dorm we built for the help, and you have to have help, and it's very important to have good help and look after them. And they're doing a good job here in New York now, redoing the dormitories for people, and it's very important. You have to have good help and take care of them.
And Luis Saez, talk about Luis Saez.
He's a great jockey and a great person, wife and 3 daughters, and he works very hard every day and has a great attitude and gives 110% to every horse when he rides them, and he never complains. We were due to work 7 horses today and ride 9 this afternoon, and he's, yes sir, no problem, let's go do it. He's an outstanding jockey and a great person.
What advice would you give a young person that want to get in any part of this business?
Just, it's a great business, and we need the younger folks to come along, and it's just a great business to be involved with, and it's a lot of fun and a lot of action every day, and we need the younger people.
Wow, thank you.
All right, thank you.